Isn't that nice?
We do have a quorum.
Yeah, we have a quorum. I don't see Director
I'm here.
Elliott.
I am here.
Oh, Director Elliott is there. We just don't see her. So if you want to speak, you'll have to speak up so we know you want to talk. But you're not on the screen. There you go.
I got that figured out now. Sorry about that.
Okay. I'm going to call this meeting of the Pearl River Regional Hospital District Committee of the Whole to session Wednesday, January 11th. I want to recognize that the meeting is taking place on the traditional territory of the Tla'amin people, which they have occupied for many thousands of years. And the first item would be approval of the agenda. We've got one circulated. Would somebody like to move the agenda? Director McCormick, seconded by Director Brander. Any additions to the agenda at all? See any? Those in favor of adopting the agenda as circulated? Any opposed? That carried unanimously. That brings us next to the minutes of the Regional Hospital District Committee of the Whole meeting, December 8th, 2022, which is in your package. Any errors or omissions in those minutes? Any? Would anybody like to move adoption of the minutes? Director Brander, have a seconder. Director McCormick, any discussion on that? All those in favor of accepting the minutes as circulated? Any opposed? Carried unanimously. No delegations or inquiries, no unfinished business, no correspondence. So obviously, no business arising out of the correspondence. This brings us down to reports and the report on the Regional Hospital District 2023 budget. Greenan, did you want to speak about this before we go into make a motion?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I do have a short presentation and I'd like to share my screen for that if I could.
Go ahead.
So I'm pleased to present draft one of the 2023 budget for the Regional Hospital District. In this budget draft one, I'll review again the assumptions that go into making the plan, operations, which are very limited for the Regional Hospital District, the equipment grant that is generally allocated to the Vancouver Coastal Health, Willingdon Creek Village, lease revenue and expenses, Vancouver Coastal Health cost share requests. Then I'll review the reserve fund contributions and finally the residential tax rates per $100,000 that are projected from this plan. In the operational costs, most of the costs are estimates, and the return on investments is projected at 2%. Vancouver Coastal Health cost share, the debt interest is projected at 5%. And the reason it's a little bit lower than what we project for the regional district is because the cost share requests are going to be funded over 5 and 10 years rather than over 20 and 30 years. The tax rates that are shown are all residential tax rates per $100,000. So the tax rates will vary for different tax classes. And the 2022 actuals that you see in this plan are projections to December 31st. We will have better actuals, of course, as we go through, but we're projecting as close as we can. For operations, there is the Arbutus Street building, which is leased to Miklat Recovery Society, and there are no costs projected as they are taking care of all of the operations and maintenance. Abbotsford Street, there's $5,000 budgeted for potential debris removal, danger trees, just general cleanup of the site that is required from time to time. Legal fees are projected at $15,000 and professional fees at $10,000. And insurance, we're projecting a 10% increase. And then the actual insurance will be based on what kind of rates we actually get. VCH has requested 2 cost share requests. One cost share request for $2.8 million was approved in 2021, and it was funded $2.6 million from borrowing and $118,356 from reserves. We've started some of that borrowing, but it's just been short-term borrowing so far as they draw down on their request. So they send invoices to us periodically. There was a further $791,756 approved in 2022, and that was to be funded through short-term borrowing. So it's 5-year borrowing. And that won't be a debenture debt. That is just short-term borrowing through the Municipal Finance Authority. And you will see the capital borrowing bylaw in this agenda. Willingdon Creek Village operations, we received lease revenue of $1.1 million annually for that building. And we have debt payments at $1.4 million until 2034. And the current interest rate is 3.3%. And then in 2024, the interest rate will change for the further 5 or 10 years. And that rate is uncertain. And so we've been saving money in the reserve so that we can pay down that debt, just in case the interest rate is much higher than 3.3%. Paying it down will reduce the interest, and hopefully we're going to try to, the goal would be to keep the debt payments at the same rate that they are right now or lower. And the maintenance reserve is $240,000 is put into the maintenance reserve annually. That is included as part of the lease revenue that we receive from Vancouver Coastal Health. And that is to pay for all of the parts of the building that the Regional Hospital District is responsible for. So basically the building envelope, all of the external sections of the building. Vancouver Coastal Health takes care of everything on the inside, all of the equipment and the inside walls, etc. The maintenance reserve is estimated at $2.27 million at the end of 2023. The reserve fund, we're budgeting for a contribution of $152,000 this year plus interest, and the balance is projected at $4.6 million at the end of 2023. And as I said, we could use this, the plan is to use at least $4 million of this to mitigate the interest rate risk by paying down the large Willingdon Creek Village debt at renewal in 2024. And any other funds can be used towards future asset renewal, replacement, or upgrades. And the residential tax rates for the budget as projected are $16.54 for the Regional Hospital District for most of the areas, and $9.55 for Tla'amin, because Tla'amin doesn't contribute to the debt of Willingdon Creek Village. The cost per average home is projected at $85 for most of the regional district and $49 per average home in Tla'amin. And those rates are all based on the 2022 average home values and the BC Assessment 2022 revised roll values. So the actual tax rates and projections per average home will be based on the 2023 revised roll values, which will come out at the end of March. I did a comparison for neighboring regional districts, and this is an easier comparison to make because there's just one rate for regional hospital districts. And so if you look at the rate comparison, there's a low rate of 0.03 cents in Squamish-Lillooet, and then the highest rate that we have is $1.29 per $1,000 in Bulkley-Nechako. So the average rate is 44 cents per $1,000. And Paul River, we are at 12 cents per $100,000 in 2022. I don't have the 2023 rates yet, but so we ranked 35 lowest out of 41 regional districts. And for Tla'amin, they ranked 38 lowest out of 41 regional districts at 5 cents per $1,000. And looking at the draft one rates that we're projecting, we would be at 16 cents per $100,000 in Powell River and 9 cents per $100,000 for Tla'amin, which would still rank us around 31 to 32, except that, of course, the regional hospital district rates in the other areas might go up as well. And in Tla'amin, that ranks us about 35 to 36 out of 41 regional districts. So we are on the low end of the scale as far as our tax rates per $1,000. And if you look at BC wide, we are ranking at about 128 out of a low of 141 regional districts. And Tla'amin is ranking 138 out of a low of 141. So again, we are at the lower end of the scale. And this graph here shows our ranking compared to the neighboring regional districts. So not BC wide, but just the ones that we generally compare ourselves to. One other thing I wanted to mention was in this financial plan, I'm proposing a 5-year financial plan. The Hospital District Act only requires a 1-year financial plan, but the 5-year financial plan is nice because it gives the directors some certainty as to where we're planning for the tax rates to go and what is planned for the future. The other thing we still would need to, right now we have to adopt a provisional budget. We would still have to adopt a provisional budget, even if we had a 5-year financial plan in place. But we could just use that. For example, we could use the 2024 financial plan as our provisional budget in September of 2023, rather than having to go through a whole new process. We could just use that and then think about any new items that have to be added to the 2024 budget when we adopt draft 1. So the next steps for the regional hospital district are, there will be one more draft, and we're proposing that the financial plan be adopted in March. There is no regional hospital district meeting in February, so that's why we will adopt it in March. And so I'll open the floor now to any questions.
Thank you. First, I want to recognize that Hagu's John Hackett has joined us as the alternate for the Tla'amin Nation. Welcome, John. Glad you could make it.
Thank you.
I can't see you. Oh, there you are. Now I can see you on the screen, so that's great. Well, thanks for joining us. So any questions from anyone? Director McCormick.
Thank you. Again, my concern is about the amount of interest that we're paying, $179,000 this year for interest payments. That's a lot to expect taxpayers to pay. So my question is about further cost share requests. The last one was in 2020. I forget which year you said, but how long until we can expect another one? And are we expected by the health authority to keep on borrowing money and taking on huge debt to meet those cost share requests?
Karina, do you have an answer?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to actually direct this question to the CAO, Al Radke.
Excuse me, through the chair, if I understood your question correctly, Director Turner, the next capital cost share request is next on the agenda.
Item 8.2.
Yeah. That concerns me.
I just want to interject here and give a bit of my own answer. I was just talking to the CAO a short time ago about an effort I think need to make in getting the other regional hospital districts in the neighborhood, like the Sunshine Coast and the Squamish Regional Hospital District, to get together to talk about our relationship with Vancouver Coastal Health and getting some predictability around capital cost share requests. So we're going to be trying to set up a meeting among the regional hospital district chairs to work on that and try to, as I say, get a little bit more forecasting ability and a little bit more groupthink going among the regional hospital districts. Anyone else with any questions? Did you want to do that?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to mention that the capital cost share request that's on the agenda today, that's actually one of the ones that's incorporated into this budget. That's just the formal process of actually going out to the borrowing now. That cost share request was approved in 2022, and so now it will just be enacted. And so then the other thing is too, I think we'll have more, as far as the budget, we'll have more certainty next year when we do know what the interest rate is, what the interest rate is for the Willingdon Creek Village debt, because that debt is so large. That will also help to give us certainty around our budget, and then compounded if we get some certainty around BCH capital needs for the next 5 years, that would, all those two together would give us more certainty for sure.
I have Director Gisborne on the list, and I'll put you on as the second time speaker.
Was it a follow-up?
No, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I'd like to thank Ms. Green for her presentation. Hearing about the Willingdon Creek Village debt payments, the interest rates concern me as well. The reality is that Willingdon Creek is built. We took on the debt. It's like you buy a car or something and you got a big credit card bill. The faster we can pay down that debt, the better, because 2024 we can have big interest rates. So if we do want to look at, say, increasing the tax requisition this year to try and get more of a war chest, so that when that debt renewal comes around, that we can put more towards it, so that we're not having to spend more money just on paying off the interest. I'm supportive of that. It makes it a little bit more challenging on the taxpayer right now, but my thoughts are the sooner we can pay off the Willingdon Creek structure and building, the better. And I have a question for Ms. Green. And my understanding is that Vancouver Coastal Health gives us money for Willingdon Creek Village, as through a lease. Roughly how much is that? How much do they give us a year for the Willingdon Creek Village?
Thank you. Through the chair, we received $1.192 million annually from that.
Okay. And so that's where my thoughts are. If we can get that debt paid down, then we'll be having money coming in from Vancouver Coastal Health, and hopefully we can get away from the debt portion, and then that'll be income, is my understanding. So that's my comments and my question. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Director McCormick. You had another question.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. And I have read the report that's in here about the capital cost share request, but it is dated 2022. So my question is, will there be another one in 2023? Do we anticipate that there will be another one?
CAO?
Through the chair, the Sea to Sky, Sunshine Coast, and ourselves are to meet with VCH in the very near future. I believe they're trying to establish a date in early February. I'm just seeking confirmation of that. And that is for them, VCH, to outline to us their capital plans. So I guess realistically, we could potentially expect maybe something else to fall out of that meeting. But I'm not certain because I'm not privy to what's all on the agenda as of yet.
Thank you for explaining that. I'm just concerned about the level of debt payment that taxpayers are funding. So that's why I asked. Thank you.
Anyone else with any questions? Don't see any hands up. I'm making sure I check the screen to see if anybody's there. So the motion that is in our package is that the committee accept as draft one and as guiding information, the proposed 2023 budget and the proposed 2023 to 2027 financial plan for the Pearl River Regional Hospital District. Would somebody like to make that motion? Director Gisborne, have a seconder, Director Fall. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Next item, if I can get my mouse to work, which is the Vancouver Coastal Health 2022 capital cost share request. Ms. Greenan, do you want to provide some detail on that?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this cost share request was approved by the board in 2022. And so now this is a capital bylaw that will allow us to do the short-term borrowing for this cost share request. And then we'll expect Vancouver Coastal Health to start the work, and then they will start invoicing us.
Any questions? Don't see any hands. I think we've been through it a couple of times. So this is to approve the expenditure and short-term borrowing. Would somebody like to make the motion? Director Fall, seconded by Director Elliott. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Carried unanimously. We have no new business that I'm aware of. And question period comes up. Do we have any questions from the public or the press?
Mr. Chair, I do have a question. This is Golinsky from the Peak.
What's your question, sir?
It's with regard to item 8.1 and the budget draft one. The revenue from Vancouver Coastal Health for Wellington Creek Village has been quoted as $1.2 million annually. And the amount paid to the Municipal Finance Authority, I believe, is about $1.4 million annually, leaving a $200,000 shortfall thereabout. I'm wondering if this money is made up through taxation or some other source.
Greenan, do you have a response?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, that is made up through taxation. The difference.
I thank Ms. Greenan for the response. That was my question, Chair.
Great, thank you. And I don't know if there's any other members of the public online, but if they are, they can speak up and ask a question. Having done all that in almost record time, we're only about 7 minutes over our estimate. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Sitting next to me.